What's up guys, Noor here and welcome to Book of Showtime Chapter 54. As always, be sure to leave a like and share with your friends, and if you have a topic you'd like for me to cover for Book of Showtime, be sure to leave it in the comment section down below or anywhere you can reach me on social media or the Book of Showtime Discord. Royal Rumble, Money in the Bank, two of WWE's marquee events that can change the landscape of the entire company in one night. For Rumble winners, a guaranteed match in the main event of WrestleMania. For Money in the Bank, a contract that can be cashed in at any time for a championship match. These events can create stars and already enhance a superstar's greatness. But for other wrestlers, some wrestlers just don't benefit from these huge career wins. In today's chapter, I'll be going over some of the worst Money in the Bank and Royal Rumble winners in WWE history. We're going to begin with Kane winning the Money in the Bank in 2010. Kane is an interesting wrestler because his character doesn't seem like the type that needs to be a champion, at least world champion in my opinion. He's an upper mid-card guy, and the fact that he cashed in the same night, that's a polarizing move to me. I was never a big fan of cashing in the same night. It's only been done a handful of times. I'll accept the Ambrose cash in because it was a cool storyline to have all three members of the Shield hold the title in the same night. But Kane, Liv Morgan, Bayley, Alexa Bliss, that just didn't do it for me. I think part of the Money in the Bank is just having that ongoing background story to any title match that you might come across. Now, I know I said Kane is the type of character that doesn't need a championship, but I think a monster heel like him stalking a champion, that would have made for compelling TV. WWE just kind of deprived us of that. Next up, Edge winning the Royal Rumble in 2021. Now, whoa, slow down. Don't close the video. Hear me out. I have no issues with Edge winning. I love Edge. It's the reason why Edge won, and that's because this was the pandemic era, the Thunderdome era. There weren't any fans in attendance, and WWE probably didn't want to have a rising star win the Rumble in front of no one. If any other veteran wrestler like Randy Orton or Seth Rollins won, they'd be here too. I'd look the other way on Daniel Bryan winning because he's never done it, but this was just, we kind of needed a winner, and Edge already won, so why not? They probably felt bad for how Drew McIntyre's moment in the sun was hindered when he beat Lesnar, and they didn't want a repeat of that scenario. So going with Edge, who's a 20-year veteran, who's already won the Royal Rumble, that was a safe thing to do. But in the long term, it did nothing for WWE. Which, speaking of pandemic accomplishments, Otis and then The Miz in 2020. Now, the Money in the Bank matches were pretty fun, as both the men's and women's match took place at the exact same time, and so each participant battled their way through WWE headquarters before making it to the roof to try to claim the briefcase. This was an exciting use of taped matches in the pandemic era, but it's the winner of the men's match that has me talking. Otis, like Kane, just isn't a world champion in my eyes. In fact, he hasn't even won a singles title at any level in WWE. He's only been Raw Tag Team Champion one time with Chad Gable. And similar to Edge winning the Royal Rumble, this seemed more of a product of the pandemic than it was something WWE actually had faith in. It also didn't help that Otis would lose the briefcase to The Miz, who did have a successful cash-in after a ton of silliness and overbooking, only to lose the title within a week. So you had a weak winner initially and then a weak champion after the cash-in. What a waste of time. Next up, Jack Swagger winning Money in the Bank in 2010. Do you guys remember Jack Swagger being world champion? Not ECW champion, world heavyweight champion. And for a guy named Swagger, he had anything but charisma. He was never taken serious as a champion. He had no standout matches, no notable matches, period. In fact, just look at this picture of Jack Swagger with the belt. He has no aura. You think this guy has any right being world champion? No. And you know who else has no aura? The 2022 winner of the Money in the Bank, Austin Theory. Austin was already a bland guy, in my opinion. I just never got behind him or his gimmick, and I think he's unattractive, but that's neither here nor there. But then he went on to have the absolute worst cash-in in the history of Money in the Bank. After having his cash-in attempts against Roman Reigns fail, Austin decided to set his sights on then United States champion Seth Rollins, which we've never seen anybody try to cash in against the mid-card titles. Theory would cash in on Rollins after Rollins got the crap kicked out of him and put through a table by Bobby Lashley, and Theory would still somehow lose. Now, I know Bobby Lashley came back out and attacked Austin Theory, but you're telling me that in like the few minutes that Lashley wasn't there, Theory just couldn't pack Rollins up quicker? It was just an embarrassing L to take. Jumping back over to the Royal Rumble, Brock Lesnar in 2022. Now, the 2022 Rumble matches both suck, thanks to Shane McMahon, but aside from that, the dagger was put in the minute Brock Lesnar's music hit. We all knew he was winning. There was no way he was going to work 2 matches in one night and lose both of them. It was such a blatantly obvious choice. Such a boring pick to set up yet another Lesnar versus Reigns main event at Mania. I really don't like the idea of a part-timer winning the Royal Rumble. I really don't. And I hope that CM Punk, who is actually the favorite to win tomorrow, I hope he works a few matches on TV before Mania, if he does win. We mentioned Roman Reigns earlier. 2014 and 2015's winners, Batista and Roman Reigns, man, if I had a nickel for every time, yada yada yada, you know how the joke goes, but I have a lot more than 2 nickels here. In fact, there's a couple more Rumble winners that I don't agree with, but we only have so much time. But these were 2 standout moments of WWE not being in touch with their fan base. Daniel Bryan was hotter than ever in 2014, and he didn't even compete in the Royal Rumble. Fans would hijack the Royal Rumble completely, and the same thing would happen next year too. It's a shame the 2015 event had such a sour ending because the championship match, the WWE Championship match between Seth Rollins, Brock Lesnar, and John Cena might be one of the best matches in Rumble history. One of my all-time favorites too, but I digress. The fans, they just didn't accept Roman Reigns as the chosen one, and it's funny because fans rejected and booed Roman for years, which, character work aside, he still put on some very good matches, but wrestling should at times be what the fans want, and WWE crowbarring in their picks just wasn't it. It also doesn't help that both of these guys went on to lose at WrestleMania, so what was it all for? Let's switch back to Money in the Bank 2017 Carmella. This is a case of not so much hating the winner, but hating how she won. Carmella had the honor of being the first women's Money in the Bank match winner, and it would be a greater honor if, well, a man, one James Ellsworth, didn't climb the ladder and win it for her. This was such a weird moment to witness live. I thought it was honestly a terrible thing to do, and it undercut the historical value of this match. They would run the entire match back a couple of weeks later on SmackDown, but with James Ellsworth banned from ringside, though he would still make an appearance, and Carmella would win again, though this time she would retrieve the briefcase herself. I don't mind the prospect of Ellsworth helping Carmella win, but I think the first time a woman hoisted that briefcase should have been at the top of the ladder. And finally, someone who is both one of the worst Rumble winners and the worst Money in the Bank winner, Alberto Del Rio. I want to just preference that I think Alberto Del Rio is a terrible human being. I even mentioned in my worst booking decisions that he shouldn't have been the guy to dethrone Cena for the US title, so I'm starting to detect a pattern. He's just not him. When he first showed up on WWE television, he went into this big feud with Rey Mysterio. He was given this great presentation like he was a big shot. Now, maybe when he was in Mexico, he was a star, and if I kept up with all of wrestling back then like I sort of do now, I would have seen the hype, but I just never drank the Kool-Aid on Del Rio as a top star. Now, Del Rio's Rumble win actually has some extra weight to it, as it was the first and so far only 40-man Royal Rumble to take place at the annual event. There hasn't been one done since, though we have the greatest Rumble ever in Saudi Arabia, but I won't count that. His Money in the Bank win was also infamous for all the wrong reasons, as it completely derailed CM Punk's momentum. This is when Kevin Nash came back and attacked him, and that whole stupid storyline. I really don't think CM Punk should have lost the title until WrestleMania against Cena in 2013, but hey, I don't book the show. Inside or outside the ring, I just never thought much of this individual, and for someone with such a decorated WWE career to now be a complete afterthought in that company's eyes and in the eyes of fans, say everything you need to know about how he's conducted himself in his personal life. I know this is delving into a borderline smear campaign, but history would be better off if we forgot about Alberto Del Rio. And to echo so many people recently on Twitter and on YouTube, this man went from wrestling in front of 70,000 fans at the biggest wrestling show of the year to getting virtually no reaction at a high school gym. And in all honesty, this is probably one of the more deserved falls from grace that I have ever seen. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know down below who you think the worst Money in the Bank winners and Royal Rumble winners are. And if you're watching this video the day it comes out, let me know who you think is going to win tomorrow's Royal Rumble. Inshallah, I will see you in the next chapter.